Are you really sure you're watering your garden the right way? What if I told you the number one reason beginners lose their crops isn't pests or diseases, but plain old water? Yep, you heard that right. You could accidentally drown your tomatoes or dry out your cucumbers without even realizing it. Today, we're going to fix that. I've put together a super simple guide for you. 8 of the most popular plants and 8 golden rules of watering for each. No complicated science, just clear, easy to follow instructions. Watch until the end, and I'll reveal one major secret that will change your approach to watering once and for all. Let's be real. Plants can't tell us, "Hey, I'm thirsty," or "Enough already, I'm drowning." They communicate with us differently, through the colour of their leaves, the firmness of their stems, and, of course, the taste and size of their fruits. Our job as gardeners is to learn to understand this silent language. And the key dialect in this language is water. Different vegetables, just like different people, have their own habits and needs. Some have roots that go deep into the earth, while others have them close to the surface. Some love consistently moist soil, while others prefer the soil to dry out a bit between waterings. Understanding these simple differences is 90% of the secret to a successful harvest. All right, let's dive into our first topic. And at the top of the list is His Majesty the tomato, arguably the most beloved plant in any garden. And it's precisely with this star crop that beginners most often make a critical mistake. So what's the deal? The thing is, tomatoes are plants with a bit of a personality. They love a good drink, but they absolutely hate wet feet. If you water them a little bit every day, you're essentially creating the perfect breeding ground for rot and diseases. Their roots will remain shallow and constantly soggy, making the entire plant weak and highly vulnerable. So remember the golden rule for tomatoes. Water infrequently, but very, very deeply. What does that mean in practice? Instead of a small daily sprinkle, it's much better to pour an entire bucket of water under each mature plant once or twice a week. Yes, an entire bucket. Your goal is to thoroughly soak the soil to a depth of 20 to 30 centimetres. Why is this so important? This deep watering encourages the roots to grow downwards, searching for that moisture. This in turn makes the plant strong, robust, and far more resilient to drought. And of course, all that water should be directed strictly at the base of the plant. No overhead watering for the leaves. Wet leaves, especially overnight, are a direct invitation for late blight. So, how do you know when it's time to water? It's really simple. Just stick your finger into the soil, about 5 to 7 centimetres deep. If it feels dry down there, go ahead and grab your watering can. If it's still moist, give your tomato another day or two. And there you have it. The secret to healthy, delicious tomatoes. Next up, after the tomato, we turn our attention to its perpetually thirsty neighbour, the crisp and juicy cucumber. If the tomato was a marathon runner, built for the long haul, then the cucumber is definitely a sprinter. It needs its fuel, water, constantly and on demand. Remember this, a cucumber is 95% water. This is key to understanding its very nature. Its roots don't delve deep into the soil. Instead, they spread out near the surface. That's why, unlike a tomato, it can't tolerate waiting a week for a deep watering. It will simply shrivel and dry out. The golden rule for cucumbers is consistency. The soil in your cucumber patch should never, ever dry out completely. Imagine a well-wrung-out sponge. That's the perfect moisture level for their soil. Consistently moist, but by no means waterlogged. So, water them frequently, but with smaller amounts. In hot weather, this might even mean daily watering. And here's one more crucial secret. Cucumbers are real delicate plants. They absolutely hate cold water. Watering them with icy cold water straight from a well or borehole is a huge stressor for them. It can make them stop growing and even cause them to drop their tiny fruit. So, only water them with warm, sun-warmed water. Following this simple rule can literally double your harvest. Let's move on to the true aristocrats of the garden, peppers, both sweet and spicy. Cucumbers might crave constant attention, but peppers, on the other hand, appreciate moderation and balance. Extremes are something they simply cannot tolerate. It's their golden rule. Picture peppers as a guest who doesn't appreciate being overwhelmed. If you flood them with water, turning the garden bed into a swamp, they'll quickly show their displeasure. Their roots will suffocate, leaves will yellow, and flowers and newly formed fruits will simply drop off. They'll give you a clear sign they're unhappy. On the flip side, they also don't fare well in drought. While they won't instantly perish like a cucumber if deprived of water, they'll become listless, leaves will droop, and any fruits that manage to form will be small, with tough, woody walls. So how do you find this much talked about golden mean? It's actually quite simple. Your most reliable tool for watering peppers is simply your own finger. Before you reach for the watering can, simply insert your finger into the soil next to the plant, about 2 to 3 centimeters or an inch deep. If it feels dry at that depth, then it's time to water. But if the soil is still moist, feel free to put off watering until tomorrow. It's as simple as that. And yes, just like cucumbers, peppers will give you a big thank you for warm water. And now, let's meet the true champion of growth, the giant of our garden, the zucchini. If you've ever grown them, you know what enormous burdock-like leaves they develop. And these leaves aren't just for show. They're powerful evaporators, working like high-capacity pumps on a hot day, drawing water up from the soil. That's why zucchini plants are notoriously thirsty. Trying to water them little by little is like trying to quench an elephant's thirst with a teaspoon. It's not only useless, but potentially harmful. Shallow watering simply won't reach their deep, powerful roots, and the plant will suffer from thirst, even if the topsoil appears moist. The rule for zucchini is very similar to that for tomatoes, but even more generous. They need abundant deep watering strictly at the base of the plant. Don't be afraid to pour on the water. Your goal is to soak the soil so that moisture reaches the deepest roots. This stimulates root growth and makes the plant incredibly productive. And please remember, never water their enormous leaves. This is a direct path to powdery mildew, a white, powdery coating that can destroy the entire plant. As soon as you see your zucchini leaves drooping and not recovering even by evening, know that it's crying out for a drink. Give it a thorough drink and it will reward you with an abundant harvest. Now let's come back down to earth. Or, more accurately, let's dig a little deeper. Underground. We're about to meet those who keep their most prized produce hidden from our view. And first on our list is the humble, yet beautiful, carrot. Carrots, however, are a bit trickier. Their biggest enemy isn't just drought or flood, but rather the sudden, drastic changes between them. Uneven, inconsistent watering is the number one reason carrots end up cracked, deformed, or simply misshapen. Imagine this. You haven't watered your garden bed for a while, and the soil has completely dried out. The carrot skin has hardened a bit. Then you arrive and give everything a good, thorough soaking. What happens? The inner, juicy part of the root rapidly expands with the sudden abundance of moisture, but the outer skin just can't stretch fast enough to keep up. The result? A crack. The carrot splits right open. So, the secret to growing perfect, straight and sweet carrots is unbelievably simple. It's all about moderate, but most importantly, consistent watering. It's far better to water a little at a time, but often preventing the soil from swinging between being a desert and a swamp. Your goal is to maintain evenly moist soil throughout the root's growth depth, which is about 20 to 30 centimetres. Consistent watering equals consistent carrots. It's truly that straightforward. Leaving our underground dwellers behind, let's turn our attention to the most delicate category in our garden. All sorts of leafy greens, lettuces, spinach, arugula. Everything we love for its freshness and crunch. And in that very word, freshness, lies the key to their watering. These plants share one common characteristic: extremely shallow, delicate roots. Like fine spider webs, they spread out just beneath the soil surface. They simply can't reach moisture deep down, unlike a tomato or zucchini plant. Their needs are immediate. They thrive on moisture that's readily available. This is why the little and often rule works best for them. Attempting to give your greens a heavy, infrequent soaking is completely futile. All that water will simply drain straight past their roots, and the topsoil will quickly dry out in the sun. Your goal isn't to soak the bed 1/2 metre deep, but simply to keep the top 5 to 7 centimetres of soil consistently moist. Think of it more as a light, refreshing sprinkle for the bed, especially in hot weather. If you forget to water them and the top layer turns into a dry crust, your greens might become bitter or quickly bolt, meaning they'll flower. And we want juicy leaves, not flowers, right? So keep their soil consistently moist, and they'll reward you with crisp freshness all summer long. Now let's talk about some plants that provide us with incredibly nutritious and delicious produce: legumes, specifically peas and beans. At first glance, they might seem pretty low maintenance and self-sufficient. And that's true, but only up to a certain point. They possess a little secret, a hidden switch that directly influences how abundant your harvest will be. This switch is flowering. The moment you spot the first blossoms on your bean plants or pea vines, your watering routine needs to drastically change. It's during this crucial phase, while flowering and forming future pods, that the plant decides just how much yield it will give you. Insufficient water at this stage sends a distress signal. The plant essentially thinks, "Times are tough, I can't afford to sustain a large family of pods," and in a bid for self-preservation, it will start shedding flowers and tiny, undeveloped pods. Conversely, providing generous, consistent watering during this period signals to the plant, conditions are perfect, there's ample moisture, so go ahead and produce lots of large, juicy pods. The impact is direct and very noticeable. So remember this: water moderately before flowering, but as soon as those blossoms appear, transition to ample watering. This is the key secret to a truly bountiful legume crop. And finally, let's talk about the king of all vegetables, the ultimate staple, often called our second bread, the potato. Growing them might seem straightforward, and to some extent, it is. But there's one crucial detail many gardeners overlook, and it's not about how to water them, but when to stop watering entirely. While your potato plants have green, lush, and vigorous foliage, they are actively working. Like a small factory, each plant is busy producing nutrients and sending them down to grow the tubers. During this phase, consistent moisture is vital, especially in dry weather, to ensure large, healthy tubers. But then comes the moment when the foliage starts to yellow, dry out, and fall over. And no, this isn't a sign of disease. It's a natural and crucial signal from the plant. It's telling you, my work is done, my top growth is no longer needed. Now it's time for the tubers to mature and prepare for the long winter. And precisely at this point, you must stop watering completely. Don't just reduce it, cease it entirely. Why? Because this forces the tubers to put all their energy into forming a thick, sturdy skin. This robust skin protects them during harvest and allows them to store well throughout the winter. If you continue watering, you risk getting watery potatoes with thin skins that won't store well and might even start to rot. So remember, green foliage means keep watering. Foliage yellowed and collapsed, put the watering can aside. Your winter harvest will thank you for it. You've just heard 8 different rules, and it might feel like a lot to remember. But what if I told you there's one universal piece of advice that ties almost all these plants together and could literally double your success rate? Here's the game changer. The absolute best time to water is early in the morning. Why? It's simple. First, it gives the water plenty of time to soak into the soil and reach the roots before the hot sun causes it to evaporate. Second, and perhaps most importantly, by evening, your plant leaves will be completely dry. Watering at night, especially on the leaves, is a direct invitation for fungal diseases. Watering in the morning, directly at the base of the plant, is a simple yet brilliant strategy that protects your plants and conserves water. This is truly the golden rule of experienced gardeners. So, to sum it all up, while every vegetable has its unique preferences, the core principle remains straightforward. Listen to your plants and always water them in the morning, directing the water to the base of the plant, not on the foliage. This simple practice will shield you from most common beginner mistakes. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. I truly hope these tips were helpful. If they were, please don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss out on more valuable guides. Now, a question for you. Which vegetable in your garden do you find the most temperamental when it comes to watering? Share your experiences in the comments below and let's help each other out with our best tips.